Babylon Project was our last, best hope for peace. A self-contained world 5 miles long, located in neutral territory. A place of commerce and diplomacy for 250,000 humans and aliens. A shining beacon in space, all alone in the night. It was the dawn of the third age of mankind, the year the Great War came upon us all. This is the story of the last of the Babylon stations. The year is 2259. The name of the place is Babylon 5.
Hello and welcome to Chats, a television podcast, Season 6, Chatzylon 5. My name is Alan, and this guy is about as subtle as a brick through a glass window, but he knows his stuff. I'd hate to be on the wrong side with this one against me. It's Magellan.
Hey, dude.
Woo-hoo. That's you as a brick through my window.
Brick through the window. Listen, folks, I'm eating some pistachios, and that'll end soon. But first, I want to tell you an anecdote.
Please do.
I was in Italy on a school trip. Because my school's... Oh, crap. I dropped my pistachio. So, I was on a school trip to Italy. I was chaperoning it at the high school I work at. Because it's a school that, it's just is able to do that. It's a charter school, but it has these funds that it can do that. Anyway, and we were on this tour through the Roman Forum, and our tour guide told our students that the people who were excavating the forum had found dinosaur bones in a particular spot, and he said that with his Italian accent. Kids were kind of laughing a little bit, and he's like, well, how do you say it? And they're like, it's dinosaur. And we had a talk with them later of like, you can't do that to people. You can't laugh at the way they pronounce something and be like, it's dinosaur, stupid.
Yeah, words don't mean anything.
But then he was telling us, like, over here there are these trees that grow pistachios. Ooh. And he's like, oh, now that's a word. That's Italian. And I know how to pronounce it the correct way. You probably say, what, pistachios? Like, made fun of our kids. It was awesome. They loved it.
That's fantastic.
Anyway.
And hopefully you'll love this episode of Chatzylon 5. Good night. Wait, no.
Just let it tell a fun story. Hey, how you doing, my friend?
I'm okay. I love these cozy late night recordings. I feel like I'm like doing a little sleepover with my buddy.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I mean, it's 8 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
in the ocean.
In the ocean,
it's 11 p.m. here.
It means that we're hot and wet and sweet and tight, and also we might be a little bit punchy because it's been a long week.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
But we always like to max and relax by watching 2 episodes a week of Babylon 5 and then talking about them.
We do. This week we watched Season 2, Episode 13, Hunter Prey, as well as Season 2, Episode 14, There All the Honor Lies. Hunter Prey was written by J. Michael Straczynski, directed by Menachem Benetsky, a new director to the show, I think. It aired March 1st, 1995, and it takes place, as both of these episodes do, in August of 2259. Magellan, can you give the kids a brief summary of the episode?
I sure can. In this episode, a fugitive doctor on the run from the Earth Alliance is on Babylon 5. But when Captain Sheridan learns the reasons why, the race is on to find him before Earth Force security can seize him.
Yeah.
Alan, what did you think of Hunter Prey?
There is so... I'm really getting into the vibe of Babylon 5 now as this like character building show that like occasionally dips into larger conflicts and hints at them and talks about them, but always focuses on the people on this ship. Mm-hmm. I don't believe they leave. I don't believe that they depart from Babylon 5 in this episode at all. Even though like this guy coming onto the ship means, oh, we have interactions from Earth Force and we have we have different races now talking about things, and we have all of these larger scale conflicts that we've known about for a while, but it's all still localized here. And that's just something that came into like tight focus when watching the Hunter Prey, that I was like, yeah, you can just really, you never have to leave this ship ever. And I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, it's a cool, it's different from when we would watch Farscape. Because on Farscape, sometimes you'd get episodes that are like throwaway, off the ship episodes where they kind of make up a planet that has rules, and they just feel sort of throwaway sometimes. And the episodes you cherish are usually the ones, or many of them are the ones that stay on the ship and stay with the characters. And that's what Babylon 5 does all the time. Now, sometimes it brings some hot BS onto the station. But I appreciate that it's a show that's like, no, this is the place. This is a show about this place and these people. And larger events are filtered through their perspective.
Yeah, and the first larger event filtered through the Babylon 5 perspective is the Kosh situation, the Kosh ship. This boy, who we've been seeing since the movie, the prologue movie, has had a ship docked on Babylon 5 that we haven't really talked about before, but it's just been kind of sitting there.
Mm-hmm.
And I like that they're a little bit aware of that, and they're like Sheridan comes on and notices this big garbage green boat with this gross armor that like moves around on it, and he's like, "What? How is this here? Why did we allow this here?" And Ivanova's like, "Yeah, no one. It's Kosh's thing. We don't ask questions. He doesn't bother us. We don't bother him. Like, I don't know. It's been here forever, though. Do we touch it?"
I got the sense that he requested that Ivanova show it to him or something like that.
Yeah,
because it seems like, so if we were to describe Sheridan's character, I think the most interesting character trait he has is that he's curious in a kind of self-destructive way sometimes.
Yeah,
like he just wants to know everything that he can know, and he really wants to understand the Vorlons and Kosh and what he looks like under his suit and all this stuff. So he's looking at Kosh's ship. That's where we start the episode. And oh man, I texted you about this, but I almost had to stop the episode like 2 minutes in, because Ivanova and Sheridan are looking at the ship and they're going, "My God, it's so beautiful. It's seamless in its construction." And then you look at the ship and it's just this artifacted to hell JPEG of green, like a frog skin.
Yeah, it's like they zoomed in 5 times on a Google image search for frogs.
Yeah, it's blocky and
they're trying to scroll on the page gross. And like it's all blurry and there's no anti-aliasing.
Bad.
It looks like shit, honestly.
It looks really bad.
And it makes all of this stuff where Ivanova, she like gets so intimate talking about the ship. She's like, "Oh, it's just like, yeah, I just want to like fall inside of it, and like I love it, and I'm like fascinated by its design and everything." And the like unintentional comedy of looking at it and it just looks like hot garbage, and you're like, "Yeah, we're gonna hinge a whole plot on this cool ship. Sure, we're gonna do that, and we're gonna rely on this CG looking good." And like you also mentioned today, like that must be really hard for them to act at and then see the final thing later and they're like, "Oh, that's the thing,
that's what it looked like. Oh, now I look dumb."
Exactly. I will say regarding like Sheridan's curiosity, that serves really good use for the viewer when it's curiosity about stuff that we care about. So like he comes onto this episode and he's like, "We've had Kosh on this ship for 2 years, and nobody knows why he's here or what the Vorlons do." And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, thank you, dude. Thank you.
He just says like 2 words and then leaves and doesn't come to our meetings. That's not cool. Why does no one ask him about that? I want to ask. And it's like, oh my God, yes, Sheridan is the self-insert that we need. He's like asking the questions that everybody else is too busy dealing with their own problems to ask.
Yeah, I love
this.
This
is great.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot more exciting because like with the conspiracy stuff, you know, we are not curious about this stuff. It's more that like Sheridan has already been assigned this assignment of deciding who's trustworthy in Babylon 5 and figuring out the
Right.
Earth Psycorp conspiracy. We just know that that's a problem because we've learned about it through the last season or whatever, but we don't feel as connected to him as we do like, yo, this is a thing that we see every week that nobody says anything about. Like, what is this? What really is this guy's deal?
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, there's another part, speaking of like silly Kosh stuff, when he is like intercepting Kosh walking down a hallway, and he just looks really goofy walking next to this man in a suit. Because the guy in the suit, like, he looks fine, but the height difference is weird, and it's like
When he's walking with Kosh.
Yes.
Kosh's suit looks pretty silly if it's lit too well.
Yeah, or if he's just walking, it's like,
Yeah.
Like if he's standing imposingly over a dying Centauri emperor.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's like, whoa, Kosh, but then it's like, I'm going to the coffee machine because the other one doesn't work. It's like, yeah, you're just a guy in a suit. And again, major shout outs to Sheridan in that moment being like, dude, you're in my dreams. We can't not talk to each other. You're in all my dreams. Come on. And then Kosh is like, nah, dude, like, you need to be more sad before we're going to have our conversation. And then finally, next episode, he's like, you are now sad enough and have passed the test.
Yeah, is it in this first episode that they have the conversation where he's like, I want to learn more about you, Kosh? Or
He does say that in this episode, yes.
And then Kosh is sort of like, I'll teach you about yourself before I teach you about myself. I like that whole exchange.
Yeah, I have a lot of lines quoted from that. He's like, Kosh, what do you want? And then, Kosh is like, never ask that question. Never ask me what I want.
Right, because it's what the shadows ask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
That's why he doesn't like it. Yeah.
Oh my God, Magellan with the good pickup. I just thought it was like, don't like get inquisitive about the wrong things.
No, I think it's because that's what
that's the phrase. That's really good. Wow. He also says, Sheridan, I will teach you until you are ready. And Sheridan's like, for what? He's like, to fight legends.
Yeah.
What in the world? I love little phrases like that are just like, what does that even mean? What does this huge phrase mean? I just caught up recently on the TV show Steven Universe. And there's this line that will not leave my head. And this is not a spoiler because it's just like completely at no context. But one of the characters is like, Steven, you have finally begun the third era. And I'm like, there was a second era? There was a first era? Like, they never mentioned this before. Just out of nowhere, this is what we're talking about now, and it's the only thing I can care about. I love stuff like that. And Babylon 5, especially from Koch, is chock full of that stuff.
Koch. Yeah.
And then just to wrap up this guy's stuff, the rest of the humans at the end are like going back to the ship once because they put the guy in there. What is the doctor's name? Or the hostage, whatever you want to call him.
The guy on the run.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name.
Jacobs. Dr. Jacobs. Yeah, Dr. Jacobs is in like a gross CG cocoon sleep in the ship, inside of Kosh's ship, because that's the only safe place that he won't be detected. And we'll talk about that whole the way that they get there, but it's so funny. And then he comes out and they're like, what did you hear in there? And he's like, when I was asleep, the ship sang to me. Again, if they ever show us what that song was and it's just like, hello, my baby, hello, my honey. Like silly show tunes. I'll love it. But yeah, that's the last thing that we get of Kosh in this episode. Definitely fun little moments, though, to see him talking.
I'm glad that he's taking a more active role in the show. It's funny when Kosh's only thing is that he shows up every 5 episodes and says something bleak and then disappears again, but it's not the most interesting use of that character.
Yeah, there's only so much you can do with that, like, menace.
Yeah, before it gets kind of stale. And I'm glad
as the second episode kind of like turns, it seems like they're leaning to him more as a mentor for Sheridan to understand the batshit situation with the shadows. It's like, okay, yeah, that's the place you can take Kosh that I actually like. Is the only person he talks to is Sheridan, and he only talks to him in, again, really cryptic things, but he's doing it with intent to teach.
And it's charming to me that we're finally seeing that there are things that Kosh wants and hopes for.
Yeah.
Like when he calls Sheridan to his quarters, and then he gets mad at him, and he's like, "You're not ready. Go away."
Mm-hmm.
And then Sheridan pushes him on it and says, "What? You called me here to tell me to leave? There's a reason that you brought me here. So let's just do that." And then in the second episode, when Kosh is like, "Hey, the lesson, remember? You forgot."
That thing I taught you.
It's clear that there are things that he cares deeply about. And we're getting hints of that, it's nice. I don't know. I like it.
We're gonna look back in like a couple months and be like, oh man, Kosh is such a big deal. Remember when he was like nothing? He was a nothing, like mystery character, and now he's one of the big ones.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I ever think he's gonna like be wielding a gun and like fighting off space cops, but maybe like as he gets more involved, we can reflect and think back to like the times when Kosh was nothing and had a JPEG spaceship. The A plot though of this episode, kind of hit or miss for me. I guess I never miss, huh? Was this whole situation where this guy, Dr. Jacobs, is we're gonna waltz right past it. Dr. Jacobs is being, why is he on Babel? He's escaping the law because he has like all the secrets of the soccer conspiracy.
He has a piece of evidence that could start to unravel it. Basically, what we come to understand is that the reason that the vice president, current president, was not on Earth Force One when it exploded was because he was sick. But then this doctor, we find out towards the end of the episode, has his medical records, which show that he was not sick, and could help to prove that he organized a conspiracy to kill the president.
That the vice president did?
Yeah.
Yeah, that I took that as an implication that he like somehow scientifically made himself very sick so that he would have the excuse. But yeah, it works either way. Like it doesn't matter whether or not he actually
there's some sort of foul play.
Exactly. And so he has that information on a data chip. Love it when we just have a good MacGuffin, just like good old fashioned, like here's this USB stick, don't lose it.
Yeah.
Don't drop it. I'm also this fun old man. Really nothing to say about that guy's performance. I think the only note I had was like he sounds like old men that I used to hear in cartoons, but he isn't. That actor is not like in anything.
He sort of reminds me of Tobias Wolff. He looks like Tobias Wolff.
Who is Tobias Wolff?
He's just an author guy.
Oh, okay.
I mean, just look at a picture of him.
Oh yeah, he's got the same like beard. So yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you're right.
So if you know who Tobias Wolff is, that means something to you.
Yeah, Tobias Wolff and Dr. Everett Jacobs, the same person? God, he really does. Sorry, I have lost.
Yeah, you got captivated by it. Also, young Tobias Wolff is like it's a weird thing to look at.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay, so anyways, young Tobias Wolff is my rap name, by the way.
Yeah. That guy. There's not a lot going on. He's just sort of a dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I did enjoy the like black market vendor guy that he talks to at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
I thought he was fun. He says, he refuses to give the guy an ident chip, sort of a fake ID, I guess, because it's like, oh, you want it too much.
And if you want it too much, either you're a cop or you need it too badly, and I don't trust what you're doing.
Yeah. That guy was so over the top and silly, and I really enjoyed it.
Doesn't Garibaldi come back and like strong arm him later about something?
Yeah, he has the guy's.
He does that. Yeah, during the Franklin
he has the guy's
and Garibaldi
pocket watch, and Franklin recognizes it.
Yeah. That stuff is cool. That's a nice little direction they chose to take the investigation plot. Was instead of it just being the usual Sheridan and Ivanova, they're more concerned with dealing with Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad, who's actually a guy named Cranston who's from Earth Gov.
Yeah, Bryan Cranston doing another role that maybe he shouldn't have been cast in.
Perhaps a little bit dicey for him. And this Cranston guy is like, we need to capture him. We need to take him out. He's got important information. Never let him out of. Don't let him leave Babylon 5. 5 minutes later, Sheridan gets a like underground. They're like, you got to go meet the lady, and he's like, what, the lady? And he goes underground, and there's not underground, but to the down below, and this like lady with big '80s hair is like, hey, your job says to find him. Your job says find him and keep him safe because we actually want him to get that data out in a big way.
Yeah.
He's our in. And
so then
like
we have
really
this plot where Sheridan and Ivanova are trying to hide what they're actually doing, but seem like they're doing the right thing. And meanwhile, Garibaldi and Franklin are doing private eye stuff. It's fun. It's a nice twist on the search plot.
Yeah, I think the Sheridan Ivanova stuff is fun because it's just entertaining to watch people lie in creative ways, and them being like, "Oh, there's a message. Oh, it says he's what does he say? Not the down below, but the other thing."
Well, he was like, "Well, it seems like he's probably in the down below, but he could be downtown.
He could be in the downtown." And the guy's like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's like a metal like central room." And they're like, yeah, okay, I guess we'll go there.
And it's like full of sewage.
Yeah, it's just gross. And they go there and they're like, there's no signal in there. It's metal. What? Why did you take us there? And they're like, nice. You went to a broom closet.
Gotcha, bro.
Yeah, it's just entertaining watching them. These two like serious people be the sneaky ones. And then Dr. Franklin and Garibaldi, you would think would be, and I do like it. I think it's actually really entertaining watching them be like plainclothes detectives. Once it just becomes Garibaldi, like, and also best part of it, Dr. Franklin rescues Garibaldi when he finds Jacobs, and then like karate chops some dudes, and I'm like, whoa,
yeah.
Franklin needs to be the action hero character that I
because the guy stabs Garibaldi,
yeah,
and Franklin knocks him out,
yoinks him. It's this weird. I just kept calling him Beard Man in my notes. His name is Max, which is useless.
Max.
And then he's like trying to steal or capture the doctor so that he can get money as payment for finding him. Garibaldi threatens him doing the full-on like noir cop thing. He shoots his dumb PPG at the guy, but like misses intentionally to be like, "Hey, if you don't give him me, I will break your legs." And each one is like a shot. It's fine. It's the usual like hard-boiled detective thing.
It wasn't that intimidating because
the effect on the PPG sucks.
There was no recoil on the gun, and the noise was like pew.
Yeah, and then the fact that it works is so weird. Again, what is that? Strike 3 for this episode having like weird unintentional comedy, where he's supposed to be badass, and the guy's like, "Shit, okay, I'm sorry, I'll give him back. You have a big gun," and we're just hearing pew pew, and these like blue crystals appearing on the wall when he shoots.
That plot feeds this streak of Garibaldi is like the super cop we need to solve our problems for us. That is not great. Don't love that.
It reframes what, because it asks the question of like, what do you want to give us from Garibaldi? Is he the empathetic human whose connections give him a way of like understanding people that not everyone has because he's not busy? He's like, his job is to understand people on the ship.
Yeah.
Or is he super cop extraordinaire? Because those things are in conflict a lot of times.
I don't know that they're mutually exclusive, but I certainly enjoy him as empathetic, or even him as like paranoid. I enjoy more than him as super tough, gonna scare the shit out of you guy.
Yeah,
like when those humans were being racist to Martians or whatever in that one episode, and he like slams the guy's head against the bar.
Yes.
I love that.
No, because then it's like, is that cool?
Right. I think that's what I don't love about it, is it's hard to figure out if the show wants us to see that as him being awesome, or if we should be kind of worried about it. And I've received mixed messages because I think there have been times in the show where it's pointed our attention to that to say, there's something off about Garibaldi. But in this episode, it wasn't doing that. It seemed like we were supposed to think that was like a badass, dirty Harry kind of thing.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe that's an intentional contrast because, he spends one episode talking to Talia in an elevator and being like, I understand your problems and I feel for you. And then the next one, because he pulls a gun on a guy, it's like, well, that's the same Garibaldi. Or this is also the same Garibaldi that has alcohol problems. Like, seeing him become this, like, tough guy.
There's complexity to his character. I'm not saying we should erase his complexity.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying that I think that if this show is going to depict him as being, I don't know, as, like, using his authority in a way that feels irresponsible,
Mm-hmm.
I want the show to reckon with that, and
Yeah.
I don't think that it does.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least it has in other moments, and it didn't really in this episode.
Right. If there's any... There are only two cops in this show that I give a shit about, and their names are Lou Welch and Zach Allen. But it's just Lou Welch. Because here's like the chat secret to getting Allen to love your weird side character. Never put them on screen. Step one. Just don't give them screen time. The more screen time you give them, the less I like them. That is called the Warren Keffer rule. Rule number 2 is make them have a non-traditional, non-TV body. So that's why Zach Allen doesn't win, is because Lou Welch is just a big, corny, older, fat dude. And he's great, and I love him.
Yeah.
And then this Zach Allen guy, we like see him being briefed on the situation, and then someone asks Garibaldi, like, "Do you think your men are like gonna actually kill the guy?" And he's like, "I trained them well. I hand trained them myself. I know them really well." And then they cut to this Zach guy, and he's like, "I got this. I'm gonna kick his ass." And it's like, nah, cops. I love cops. It's a cop show.
Yeah, they didn't really do much with that idea of Garibaldi saying, like, I'm gonna get past my own security.
Right, they just say that.
They just say that, and they don't really do that. They don't give him a moment where he has to, like, beat up Lou Welch or something. That would have been more interesting, I think, for the Garibaldi plot, if one of his own guys was like, what are you doing? Like, why do you just get to do that? And isn't it kind of risky that Garibaldi is someone who could get past the station security?
Right, he has all this power. What does that
Yeah.
mean?
But the episode's just kind of casual with that in a way that I think is a missed opportunity.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot for them to explore with Garibaldi and his trainees in the force, in the security sector. And how they differ from him. That is most of what I have about this episode, though. I mean, like I said, they find the guy, they rescue the guy. Garibaldi and Franklin rescue the guy. They put him in cautious ship so that Bryan Cranston doesn't find him. Bryan Cranston's like, I guess I'll leave. I like the part where it's the final moment, like, hurrah for Ivanova and Sheridan, where Cranston is like, all right, we're going to scan Koss's ship. Clearly, he's on the Vorlon ship because that's the only one leaving. And then Sheridan's like, yeah, all right, sick. All right, cool. Definitely do scan a Vorlon ship. I mean, that'll start a war, and we'll lose, and we'll die. But do it. No, for sure. I'm with you 100%. The guy's like, okay, I guess I won't.
Great. And then Ivanova is like, you had fun with that, didn't you? And Sheridan goes, no. But yeah.
But yeah, totally. I can never tell, like, is Sheridan like a fun, wacky guy, but then sometimes he isn't a fun, wacky guy? Because, there's that part.
That was played a little weird. Like, it seemed like his frustration with her was too genuine.
Yes.
Because you're supposed to play that moment as, like, no way, I didn't have fun, wink. But instead he was like, no, how dare you ask that?
Exactly. I had the same exact reaction in the second episode with the teddy bear, where it's like, are you mad?
Yes, yep.
We'll talk about that.
Super hard to
thing.
read that scene.
Exactly. That's just played weirdly, or maybe it's written weirdly. I couldn't read it.
Yeah,
correctly.
I thought I had a grasp on Sheridan and Ivanova's relationship, but I'm starting to not understand it as well.
Yeah, I want it to be the way that Sinclair and Ivanova's relationship was, which is like, I want you to learn and I want you to improve and be my right hand. But like Sheridan giving her the title of commander and then still like giving her a lot of shit when she like when she's the funny one, just feels off. Like you guys can just both be funny together. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a weird relationship for sure.
I think it's just because I don't know what to map it to. Like with Sinclair and Ivanova, there was a clear he's her dad kind of thing going on.
A bit.
But with Sheridan, he's not her dad. I guess they're buddies.
He's
They're
like her
friends?
fun coworker.
Yeah.
Friend. They have to they're trying to flesh out the relationship between all the humans on the ship now because they're in the like conspiracy pact.
Right.
But some of that doesn't. It feels like these are growing pains of that relationship. Like sometimes you just don't. It doesn't land right.
Yeah. That's fair.
I have one note about this episode.
What you got?
There's a shot, and I didn't look it up, but I found the answer in a way that's non-spoilery, so I think I can talk about it, where Garibaldi is beginning his investigation into the Doctor, and he sees a red ribbon tied around like a metal grate above him. And I was like, what the? He just looks at it, and then like looks at a dude, and then looks away, and I was like, what? And I watched the scene back, and I was like, is that a ranger? Is that what's happening? Is he seeing a ranger and being like, yo, what's up?
Oh.
I think that might be what that was. Like maybe the ribbons are like symbols that they're because it has to. It clearly reads like this is a symbol that somebody is nearby. And I was like, all right, well, let me go down the list. Like Kosh, that would never like leave a symbol of anything.
A little ribbon. Yeah.
No, he doesn't have ribbons. We don't know anything about Garibaldi's past that would suggest this, and that'd be really incongruous to just drop a new bit of foreshadowing right in the middle of this episode. So maybe it's something we already know. And then I was like, oh yeah, who's on the ship that doesn't like make their presence immediately known? It's probably the Rangers, and Garibaldi knows about them. So
good catch,
I guess
dude.
Thank you. That must just mean that it doesn't even have to mean anything. It's just like, oh yeah, reminder, they're around. Heads up. But that is all I have for this episode.
Yeah, I think the only other thing for us to keep our eyes on is trying to figure out who exactly Sheridan's working for, and if they're like fine.
Yeah. I guess we did write that in here, but like the line where I was like, "There's no way they're good."
Yeah, I
was
saw this in your notes.
Yeah, the lady is like, "Great job, Sheridan. You did it. You worked for you did good work for us, the good guys." And I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, so you're the bad guys."
For the good guy. Yeah,
scored one for
exactly.
the good guys.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that scared me.
Yeah, nothing confirms that you're the bad guys like using the phrase "we're the good guys." What?
Right. So who could they be? I mean, I guess maybe it's just Psycor tricking him into thinking that
shit. Do you think it's that
scary.
big?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know who it could be. Or maybe they're like a home guard. I don't know. Something's going to come out with that's going to be we're going to be gutted by it.
Yep. And I'm ready for it. Mess me up, Doc.
Yeah, mess me up. But yeah, that's it. That's it for this one.
Sweet. Do you want to read this email from our friend Dan?
I do. All right, we have an email this week from our buddy Dan. Dan writes, "It's funny that you compared All Alone in the Night to Infection because they have an actor in common, Marshall Teague. In Infection, he became a cybernetic killing machine, and in this episode, he was the Narn that Sheridan was able to save. If anything is to be salvaged from the abduction plotline, it's that the Narn character, Talon, will be back." Okay.
Dropping hints.
The biggest problem with All Alone in the Night is that it comes after the coming of Shadows. You've started to get glimpses of what the show's actually capable of. If you guys take the same trajectory as a lot of us B5 fans, I almost read that as BS fans.
Man, I love bullshit.
As B5 fans, you'll find that you'll have a growing impatience for the more throwaway stuff. As the show really starts getting good, the bad stuff stands out that much more starkly. That's fair.
Excellent.
Dan goes on to say, "Scenes with Delenn and Jakar are absolute magic. And you haven't even come close to seeing the best of those two together. There's a lot of great stuff coming down the pike."
Yes.
Nice. "Here's how I can tell that Londo Mollari is a great character. He's ostensibly a bad guy, yet I find myself rooting for him, and having my heart break for him at every turn. You just want to see him land on his feet, but every time he does, people get crushed beneath them. Wow, very well said, Dan. I agree. Even in the second episode, we'll talk about it, but in the second episode, I had flashes of Londo, yes, I love you. And then remembering, oh yeah, you ordered the murdering of thousands of innocent people. Forgot about that.
Yeah, that's the same Londo.
That's that guy, huh?
That's like the theme of Londo this season is, yo, that's the same Londo.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you, Dan, for the email. We always appreciate your emails. And anyone who wants to do that can send those over to chatspod@gmail.com. We'll be right back after this little musical break to discuss There All the Honor Lies.
It's really not a good title. Welcome back to Chatzylon 5. The second episode we watched this week was Season 2, Episode 14, There All the Honor Lies. It was written by Peter David, directed by Michael Vehar. It aired on April 26th, 1995, and it takes place in August of 2259. Now, normally I would ask Alan what happened in this episode, but he joked before we started recording that he was going to be completely silent for the first 5 minutes. Why is that funny? It's funny to us, and now that I'm saying it, the reality is sinking in. So I'm going to tell you what happened in this episode. In this episode, Captain Sheridan is accused of murdering a Mimbari citizen. Ivanova is placed in charge of a gift shop, selling Babylon 5 merchandise. Magellan, what did you think of this episode? Well, Magellan, listen to this. I thought that this episode had some fun aspects to it, but that overall, I did not care for the main plot, because here's the problem, folks, with this main plot. It is 2019. There is no way to see a plot where a person who has authority, you could say military authority or police authority, shoots an innocent civilian of a different race and not read that as a police brutality thing. There's no other way to read that plot in 2019. And so this episode has not aged very well at all, because the premise of the plot is, well, obviously somebody set Sheridan up to make him look bad, and now we have to clear his name and expose the fact that these people are lying. And the whole time you're just like, I'm not comfortable with this. This is where Alan he'd come in and he'd say, yeah, man, I totally agree with you. So I'm just going to look at his notes. Whoops, that's the wrong episode. Listen, if Alan was talking, he'd say something like, welcome to Babylon 5, the last best hope for a quick buck. Wait. I don't get it. He'll explain the context of that later. Anyway, so, yeah, Sheridan's whole plot is that he killed someone in cold blood who provoked him into killing them, sure, but was never going to attack him. And we don't ever address the fact Sheridan is not guilty about it. He doesn't feel badly that he killed someone. He just feels badly that he's going to get in trouble. And it's pretty messed up, and it makes me not like Sheridan very much. I was starting to like him more because he's best friends with Kosh, and there's a little more flavor to him. But now the flavor that we're getting is he's a murder man. And I don't like that. But you know who I do like is other people in this episode. So who else is good? Lanier's great. We see his hands, his fighting hands. I love that. He's got his index finger, his pinky up on both hands. Like, ooh, here we go. Gonna fight you. Yeah, Lanier, do it. We got Veer getting drunk. Yeah, I like that. Oh, man. There's a lot to love. Here, I'll talk about Veer. Let's do that. So the Veer plot line is he's sitting around and then someone calls in and says, hey, is the ambassador there? So Veer says, no. Can I take a message? And they're like, oh, yeah, you can take this message. We find out later that the message is that Veer is getting fired. So it's kind of weird that that guy on the comm was so, just had that smarmy quality of, yeah, you're going to want to hear this, buddy. Veer's getting fired. He drinks himself into a stupor for the rest of the episode. The second scene that we see him in, he spills a drink on Talia Winters, and then he tries to dry it, but he accidentally grabs her boob, which that was funny because Veer is so ridiculous. If you think about it more than that, it's uncomfortable. But he doesn't, it's the top near her shoulder, so. Oh, hello?
Hi. Yes. Is this the Chats recording?
Hey, man.
Hey, Magellan. How's it going?
Hey, it's good. I'm just kind of hanging out. Not really.
We didn't start the episode, right? I know I'm a little bit late, but I didn't miss anything.
But I thought we could do something different this time where we don't introduce the episode.
Oh, we're just like gonna skip the whole beginning and then just get into it?
Yeah, and just get into it.
I'm into it. I'm fine. I'm all right with this plan. Sure.
Great. That's great.
I guess that I feel like a dog without a paddle right now. I mean,
we're talking about the Sheridan plot. Yeah.
The Sheridan plot, the innocents murdering, yes, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
The thing with Sheridan killing the man is it's really frustrating at the end when they're like, yeah, so we did it because we want Star Killer to be arrested. By the way, I keep remembering that Star Killer is also the name of the main character from Star Wars: The Force Unleashed.
Really jarring.
Yeah. George Lucas probably named. Well, actually, no, because that was what Luke was going to be named. So they
Luke
took it from
Starkiller,
him. Yeah. Luke Starkiller. They're like, we want to have him in jail and we want to take him off of Babylon 5 and get him out of here because we hate him. And also we hate Delenn. So it's just like, it's really cool and exciting to see the Minbari people, not the ambassadors, but the people like be mobilized and try to make political change.
Yeah.
But for their methods to be like, make this like martyr out of a regular dude and then have a witness lie in front of a court is just really bad and paints the Minbari as like conniving almost.
Yeah. We definitely are moving in a direction where the show is portraying most of the Minbari as like kind of hateful, vengeful racial purists, and then Delenn and Lanier are the only reasonable ones. I don't think we could name another Minbari that we've met who's like likable.
The guy who's friends with Delenn, and then the two of them go and hang out with Londo, and then
that
Londo's
guy was
like
nothing. He was nothing of a guy.
But he wasn't mean.
Yeah, you're right.
That's all I'm saying. It sort of works to highlight how good Lanier is, that he's the only nice one to Delenn in her whole situation. But like, I get it. Also, there has to be other good Minbari. They can't all be deeply racist and deeply ready to just throw their lives away to get rid of this one evil human in their minds.
Mm-hmm. I like that I don't like it, but I think that it does a lot for Delenn. This idea that she thought that she was doing something great for her people, but now she's not accepted as one of them anymore.
Not by her council, not by the average person, not by anyone.
Yeah, that's any instance of us exploring that is compelling to me, because Mira Furlan really sells it.
Yeah, there's a lot of like heartache to her performance that is really great.
That line at the end where Sheridan is like, "What's worse than the line from our intro?" He's like, "What's worse than being alone in the night?" Which his line, it didn't really make sense that he was saying it. But then she's like being all alone in a crowd.
Woof.
Woof, woof.
Woof, woof, woof. Bark, bark.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Just a couple of dogs. Also, cool aspect of this plotline is Lanier. We learn that he's of the same Minbari clan as the Witness. So he's like, hey, not only is you going to jail gonna like besmirch the Minbari, but it's also going to besmirch our clan permanently in an unrecoverable way. So like, I will take the fall for you. And then the guy's like, no, but you're Lanier. And he's like, it's fine. I'm Lanier. I don't matter in the grand scheme of things. They won't know about it. We can cover this whole thing up. And it seems like that's how it's going to end for a while. And I almost think that Lanier taking the cover up would have been fine. But then we get this extremely, extremely dumb scene at the end where it's in that same moment where Lanier, the man reveals to Lanier that like the whole ploy was an attempt to get Sheridan fired and the guy was never going to shoot the gun and all this stuff was a big conspiracy.
Yeah.
And Sheridan like opens up a side screen door and goes like, hey,
hey,
had a recording.
Dude. We got you.
All of us are here. It's
also,
like me.
The recording device is like a blue zip tie.
Yeah, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, I knew it. That's a recording device. And I'm like, wait, excuse? What is that? And it's like everybody's back there. Like Delenn, Sheridan, Ivanova, the lawyer. Like, who else can we cram in this back room or whatever? And they're like, yep, okay, cool. So now you're going to go to trial and then you're going to, we're going to end this peacefully and there's going to be no problems and sorry for the issue. Like,
the problem is they got themselves in a lot of trouble writing this plot. And they couldn't find an easy way to get everyone out of trouble because by the end of the episode, it doesn't seem like there's any way to get out of this that doesn't ruin some main character. Because either the lawyer's like, if this goes to trial at all, you're disgraced and you have to resign as the commander. So that's no good. But if it doesn't go to trial, then everyone will just think that Sheridan did it anyway. So then what do you do there? And then if this gets revealed, then Lanier is disgraced and Delenn is disgraced and there's not an easy way out of it. And the solution they find doesn't seem great either, you know?
On a basic level, them being like, we recorded it, there you go, we nailed it. You're going to jail, bud. Feels very like early Scooby-Doo.
Super Scooby-Doo. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely
like,
the vibe.
Great, we did it. We caught Mr. Old Man Jenkins. Congratulations. But then the part where you can tell the writers like tried to care about this episode having consequence, Sheridan tells Lanier, like, I'm not going to let any of this out. We're basically going to erase this episode from our canon. And we're not going to talk about it. And we're not, because that would besmirch Veer. That's the whole thing is somebody has to lose face. Right. It's like a potential kinetic energy thing. Is like a bad thing happened involving Minbari. Somebody involved is going to get in trouble. And in not telling anyone, they just erase all of that tension.
Right. And they sort of decide like, oh, it'll just be this guy.
Yeah.
Who's losing face, as if that is reasonable.
That's okay.
I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. Part of me wishes that we'd seen this episode earlier, actually, this idea, because I thought that was worth exploring when we're first introduced to Sheridan and we're told that he's this star killer guy that the Minbari hate. And then we kind of dropped that for a while. So for it to be coming back now feels a little late to me.
Well, yeah, because it's like, what does it connect back to? Like, what is, other than we're jumping back several episodes and remembering his history in the military.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, they do hate him, remember? And we're like, yeah, we remember. And
then honestly, I think that the people like Minbari hating Delenn stuff is now like fully covered. I don't need another episode where it's like, man, the Minbari really hate Delenn. I liked all of it so far, but I want to get somewhere beyond Thunderdome with Delenn's character arc.
Yeah.
Just see something new from her other than like, wow, people really do hate me. they do commit hate crimes against me and like try to get me arrested and get my people in trouble. That's awesome.
Right. I think on a number of levels, it makes more sense earlier because it's closer to them being upset that Sheridan is the commander.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's better to see Minbari being racist towards Delenn on the ground level before you see the council doing it too.
Yeah,
And
that's a good point.
Yeah, and then I had another reason. Oh, and then I think it makes more sense. Well, this, it's up for debate, but the Delenn Sheridan relationship here,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't feel like any of the stuff that they had been building between them had bearing on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Because up to now, it's kind of like they want to bone down and smooch and stuff. And the closest hint we get to that is Delenn trusting his word, I guess. So maybe it matters. No, I'm changing my mind. The only reason that it makes sense now is if you read it through the lens of Delenn Sheridan, as it's like a test for their relationship, and they choose to trust each other, and it goes okay for them.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like, we don't learn anything about Sheridan. His character doesn't really get developed. If anything, I feel like his character regresses because he commits this murder and then doesn't feel bad about it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And also, he's like racist. There's a moment where he's pretty racist.
Oh yeah, where they ask him to describe the guy.
Yeah, Garibaldi's like, give me a description of the guy that witnessed you acting in self-defense. And Sheridan has a moment where clearly he doesn't know what he looks like. And so instead of admitting that, he gets angry and he says he's bald with a big bone in his head.
Which is racist,
Yeah.
and also reminds us that that's what that costume is.
Yeah. I had never thought about the fact that prosthetic is supposed to look like bone.
Mm-hmm.
And it just looks like a hat. It doesn't look like it's coming out of their skin. It just looks like it's sitting on their heads.
It's hard to understand. I mean, just like, I overthink the biology of something like this, and I'm like, why do you have a bone on your outside if your bones are like supposed to be the thing that holds you together? It makes no sense to have external bones.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's sort of like a triceratops thing or like a rhino. I don't know. There are animals.
It would have had
that
some covering on it then, though.
Yeah.
It's a weird design.
And then also I was staring at it more this episode because he said that, which made me notice that the Minbari's ears are not their real actor ears. They're like fake neck ears. And now I can't unsee that.
Mm-hmm. I won't take that. But anyways.
Yeah.
Some other notes on this plot line. There's that really, really dumb part where they're like, because the guy yells at him, "Death first," before Sheridan shoots him.
Yeah.
And then somebody later is like, or I think it's Delenn later who's like, "No, Sheridan, he didn't say death first. He said the Minbari, the classic Minbari term that we all know, death first." And it means I submit to your authority. And it's like, is this real? Excuse? No. They know. That's some good comedy. It lands really well.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny. Death first.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact that it means I submit to your authority is perfect. It's like the best joke. And then also there's just a useless character named Guinevere Corey as Sheridan's lawyer in this episode.
What a
doing nothing.
What a silly plot thing.
She's basically there for Earth Force. No, she's there for Earth Force's like basically puppet mouth to be like, "Hey, you're gonna lose your job." She's there for the moment that cuts the commercials where it's like, "You're gonna get taken off of Babylon 5. Either way, this case goes." And he's like, "What?"
Yeah, but she doesn't need to be there to do that. we don't need to waste time with the scene where she shows up and she says, I'm here to see Captain Sheridan. And the guy says, like, is he expecting you or something?
Yeah.
And what does she say? Like, no, but he's going to be scared. I don't even remember.
Something like that,
line.
yes.
It's just a waste of time, all of her lines and stuff, because we know we're not going to see a trial scene. At least I didn't think that was going to happen. And she's just such a stereotypical character. I don't know. I was annoyed.
She's absolutely nothing in this episode.
Yeah.
There are other plot lines though. I don't really have anything else to say about that big one. Since I came late, I mean, did you talk about the Veer stuff? Because it's awesome.
Oh, I started to talk about it a little bit. Yeah.
You did? Yeah, all of his lines when he's drinking are delicious and exciting. He receives a missive that he is being replaced, and you're like, wow, that's really sad. It's just one of those plots though where you're like, you don't get fired on a show where you're one of the main characters, unless actually I guess you do. If you're like Dr. Kyle or something, you can get replaced in an instant, and then they just justify it later, or Sinclair. Like, for plot reasons, they could have gotten rid of Veer. I did think for a hot moment that Londo, when at the end Londo's with him and he's like, pack up your bags, Lanier. And I'm like, is Lanier leaving? Your replacement is here. And I'm like, they can't. And then they don't.
Right.
Love Londo. It's just another one of those things, though, where like Londo's lovable in these scenes because he's like, not Lanier, Jesus Christ. Veer, I love you. You're awesome. I would never, I'll fight to keep you by my side forever. And it's like, yeah, Londo, you also started a war.
Right.
You also started a whole war, bud.
Yeah, the thing that's compelling. So Lanier is in a drunken stupor, sort of. Veer. God.
We're going to keep making this mistake.
Fuck.
It's because they're both amazing. That's what it is.
Yeah. Veer is in a drunken stupor, and Londo shows up. He says, what's wrong? And Veer says, I've had 2 drinks. And Londo says, in all this time, you've only had 2 drinks? Veer says, I like to nurse my drinks.
Same, Veer. Same.
And first of all, I talked about the brief interaction he has with Talia Winters, which is...
He does the booby squeeze? Yeah.
Yeah. It's not a squeeze.
The booby
it's
honk,
not like
the
a
honk,
gross... No, it's not a gross thing. He just tries to get the drink off of her top of her shirt. And then she reads his surface thoughts and goes, what's wrong? But that's all we see of her. I thought there'd be more to that, but there wasn't. So he's talking to Londo, and the core of what is upsetting him is that he's doing things in service of other people, and doesn't really have agency of his own to decide what he wants. And the episode doesn't really resolve that, because at the end, Londo just forces him to stay.
Right.
And he has legitimate reasons why he wouldn't want to stay, such as he's keeping the secret that Londo murdered thousands of people. And he says, like, it's a great speech from Veer where he says, I'm caught between the fire and the flood.
There it is.
And if there's a way out, I can't see it, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because when he's here, he's dealing with his, like, the one person he swears fealty to and infinite respect is, like, constantly betraying his own character and lying and causing problems.
Yeah, and doing, like, evil, bad things.
Right. And then at home, he is ignored, hated, asked to leave and step out permanently and basically, like, thrown to the wolves. Like, he's a soul without a home, basically.
Yeah, and so it gives that ending, which, you know, you're supposed to be like, oh, that's so sweet that Londo is helping him stay. But it gives that ending this twisted
It's super not.
Of Londo is, like, manipulating him because he knows that Veer is, like, a lonely dude who nobody cares about. And so Londo's like, you know, he's going to be here and keep my secrets and help me feel like I'm normal while I'm doing evil.
So I think this show is going to deal with what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Because
I think so too.
the writers clearly care a lot about Londo, like we all do, and you don't just have a happy ending like that without recognizing that it's also mirroring a lot of like the way toxic, abusive relationships can happen, where it's like,
Yeah.
I want you to stay because I need you, and like tricking someone to, they're not tricking, but like convincing them that they're the most important person in your life, so that they can continue to indulge in your abusive habits, and in your bad lifestyle, is like textbook abuse. And so he's doing that, but it's framed as like, oh, but like you have a job and you get to stay on the ship and like you have a purpose, and Lando still like holds a little bit of like cheeky, like I have you by my control over him though, because he's like, but also I invited your family over, and I know you hate your family, but like I did it, and it's like, no,
Right. Yeah.
has this moment where he's like, Londo, like the classic yelling like that, like he's in a 50s sitcom. But like that really sucks to be like, I escaped my family to come here and you brought them, and even though it's totally a joke and they're not gonna like show it or anything, but it's like, Londo is not, I don't think he is necessarily the nice guy in that situation.
No, he's not.
I think Veer's being pulled in a direction that he didn't need to be pulled in. I think Veer should have, or needs to start finding a thing to live for himself.
Yeah. And he will. I think this is the kind of show that's going to give him something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's certainly, in the short term, it's supposed to look like it's this really sweet thing that Londo's doing. Like, in spite of him losing his way, he still cares about Veer, but he doesn't.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
He just needs Veer as much as Veer needs him. Final plotline of the episode, the one that it sounded like you didn't really recognize much about, the gift shop plot. The like what I thought was going to be the B plot, but literally is like 2 scenes of the whole episode.
Yeah.
Ivanova is assigned to look into the Babylon 5 gift shop, which is basically just a lot of referential humor. And they're like, wow, they have masks and like they have our logo and icons and they just sell them to people. Like, what is this corporate nonsense? Which, again, Babylon 5, like doing, it's sort of like when that old guy goes into the down below and he's like, wow, you guys put all your poor people in one place, where it's like, wait, are you saying something, Babylon 5, or are you not saying something about like how we're selling our own people their own merchandise? Because they're on Babylon 5. They're selling people on Babylon 5 merchandise. And they're like, oh, I'll send it home for my cousin because he wants to know I'm here. Like, what?
Yeah.
Why is this a money-making venture?
It's just a gift shop.
Right. It ends up just being a gift shop. And they have this good comedy scene where Ivanova's investigating and she sees an alien wearing a mask. And it's actually human underneath. And he's like, hey, what's up? Isn't this mask great? And then she turns and she sees I'm trying to get the order of operations right. The first one is a human wearing an alien mask. The second one is an alien wearing a human mask.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of just a flex on the producer's part of like, yeah, we got good makeup. Yeah, you couldn't tell, or good prosthetic work. You couldn't even tell. And when she walks into it, says, "Welcome to Babylon 5, the last best hope for a quick buck," which is like, that's the closest they get to doing anything with it thematically. Yeah. But it's also just a funny line. I don't have anything. Whoops, I already ran out of notes about it.
There's just nothing really to talk about with it.
Not really.
They don't go anywhere with that idea. It's just such a throwaway. Like, isn't commercialism bad? And you're like, yeah, I guess. Yeah, sure. Are you gonna say more about that?
You're just going to literally throw it away into space, and then Warren Keffer, the best character on the whole show.
God.
Yeah. So that final scene is just completely like this episode suffers from multiple ending syndrome.
The worst, easily probably the most drawn out series of multiple endings, because we have the ridiculous ending where everyone's hiding behind the door.
Yeah.
To catch the guy. We have the silly ending where Londo's like, Veer, pack your bags, don't pack your bags, you're hungover, that's silly. Anyway, I called your whole family, by the way, stay. And then he leaves. I'm saying things out of order, but like, then there's the cheesy moment where Londo's leaving and Veer's like, Londo, wait, thank you. which
Oh yeah.
has never happened in a person's real life that they've said, "Wait, thank you."
Thank you.
But it happens on TV all the time.
All the time. That's the line.
And then we get this strange scene where Ivanova gives Sheridan a teddy bear from the gift shop.
Bab Bear Lawn 5, John Sheridan.
Yeah. And I guess
So stupid.
he finds out that it says JS on the shirt. And he's like, oh.
Jay Straczynski, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then he's like, oh, what is JS? And she's like, John Sheridan. And then he gets mad. He gets like angry.
The gift shop needs to be shut down immediately.
Yeah. Which didn't make any sense to me at all.
I think he's taking the piss, dude. I think he's like being silly.
I thought so at first, but then he really does jettison the bear into space.
Into Warren Keffer's field of view because he's always in the right place at the right time.
It doesn't make any sense because what's the implication that the bear is him?
I think it's nothing. I think it's literally nothing. I think it's just like
because the only other scene we get is Londo discovering people with the doll of him.
Yeah,
and then he's upset that it doesn't have a penis.
Yeah,
and he's like, "We got to get rid of this thing."
Why does Ivanova always get the weirdly kind of sexual like genitalia lines? Because she says, "Oh, you feel like you're being symbolically cast in the wrong light."
Very funny line. Very good line.
Yeah, well delivered. Yeah, that's it. That's the gift shop plot feels like a completely nothing thing.
I want you to give me an answer for what the bear thing is.
I don't think there's an answer.
It doesn't make any sense.
The Kosh, speaking of things that don't make any sense.
Also, wait, one more thing.
Yeah. Hit me with it.
Warren Keffer's reaction to the bear makes no sense either, because he finds it, and they're like, "Did you find the mysterious object in space?" And then he's like, "Nope," even though he just did.
No, he says like, "Nope, it was nothing." Anyways,
but he doesn't just say, "Guys, it was a teddy bear."
Yeah. Also, shouldn't they?
He
future
speaks
technology.
as if he has knowledge of the other plot.
Yeah.
Like as if John Sheridan
does.
was like, "Hey, dude, I know we're best friends, and I just need to tell you that I'm frustrated about this bear."
It's Warren Keffer is climbing through the fourth wall and being like, I just walked into the A plot. Anyway, the C plot, rather. All right, bye. I'm out of here. Off into parts unknown in my ship to where I will inevitably be owned, hopefully, soon.
It's dumb.
The final thing that we really do need to talk about, but it's brief. Sheridan, in all of this stress, misses one of his hangout sessions with Kosh.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, Kosh, I'm so sorry. Like, I'm in a really bad state right now. And Kosh is like, that's perfect.
Your
sad boy
thing for you.
That's what I want for you, is to be as miserable and stressed out as you can be, and I'm gonna take you with me. Let's go. And he's like, "Kosh, I have a whole A plot to deal with." And he's like, "No, right now." They go to quote unquote the worst part of the down below, which I guess is just the abandoned part. They find a secret vent that has quote one moment of perfect beauty inside. Sheridan's like, "This is dumb. Why would I ever get on my feet and crawl under a thing?" And he's like, "Because I told you to." Sheridan goes into the vent and finds a hooded figure inside who has a bowl that he places in front of him. And Sheridan's like, "I don't got any money. We don't keep currency in 2259, really. I have a credit chit. I can't give you that because that's my whole life. I'll give you this. It's my stat bar. It's an indicator of my military status. You know, now that I think about it, it isn't worth much." Which was the closest thing I thought that this little like scene had to saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like his status doesn't mean anything? Yeah, it's meaningless.
Right. That seems to be the lesson that Kosh is trying to impart on him.
Yeah.
On some level, that surrendering his affiliation with Earth Force is like going to lead him somewhere.
Yeah. And the guy takes it, and then a bunch of lights come on, and there's like a really loud Halo monks chanting. And it's like, that's amazing. What is that? And he walks out, and Sheridan's like, wow, that's amazing. Thank you so much. That was incredible. I've never seen such a beautiful thing. And that's it.
Yeah.
Although there is a funny shot where the inside is Sheridan like having a religious experience, and then we zoom out to Kosh just standing outside like on his phone playing Flappy Bird like do 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 for like 4 seconds. Yeah, it's what is there anything there?
I like that it is not explained.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
vague. It's Vajue. That's the way you're gonna get a Kosh lesson. It's like, whoa, I just had a really wild experience, and now I understand that like maybe my position doesn't matter.
I mean, I think that's the thing to take from it. I think
Yeah.
I don't think it's any more complicated than that.
Mm-hmm. It's just really in a show that usually like is pretty clear eventually about what its plots are saying and what people are meaning.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool to have a like fleshed out Kosh plot that just is up to the viewer's interpretation.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's what we have for this week of episodes. A bit of a chunky one this week, but we know these are
I thought,
talky
by the
episodes.
way, that the Minbari bad guy was really well portrayed.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that guy was doing a good job.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Very punchable face.
Exactly. We're shouting out when the side one-off people are actually good. I'm trying to think, like, because this is a Peter David episode too, this second one, and I keep trying to understand like his writing style because his episodes always feel a little bit weirder, but in ways that are hard to pinpoint. But if he wrote that gift shop plot, then I have some questions, Mr. David. Just I have a lot of questions. Mainly, what's the point of the bear, and is Warren Keffer omnipotent?
Yeah.
Yes to both. But John, I'm really curious if you don't mind answering for me. What are we watching next week on Chatzylon 5?
Sure, sir. I will answer for you. Are you ready?
I am.
You sure?
No.
Well, you have to know yourself before you can see under my suit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know a better way to navigate Amazon than clicking on the show on my homepage, and then it starts playing the show, and then I have to exit out.
I just have a bookmark for the show page that lands on...
Yeah, I really should start using bookmarks.
Right?
I don't
You
really
just click on things. You don't have to search. I haven't like clicked my search bar in a while.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways.
You ready?
Yeah.
I've got 2 episodes for you. Next week, we are watching Season 2, Episode 15 and Season 2, Episode 16 of Babylon 5. First, we're watching Episode 15, and now for a word. A reporter arrives on Babylon 5 as a battle erupts, and crew members and ambassadors give revealing interviews. Cool. So it's going to be like The Office.
Oh my God.
That's what the next episode is.
Excellent.
And then we have episode 16, In the Shadow of Zahadum. Sheridan discovers the amazing truth about his wife's death, and Kosh reveals an ancient secret that threatens the universe.
Hello?
Yeah.
Frick and dang? That's probably a big
That
one.
sounds like a big one, yeah, for sure.
It's funny because Now for a Word sounds like they had that reporter plot in Infection. I think it was in Infection, yeah. And they were like, yeah, we did that in a bad episode in a bad season of our show before we found our legs. Let's do exactly that plot again. Yeah. And then In the Shadow of Zahadum sounds like a big one. So we'll surely talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
We have a guest coming on soon. We don't need to announce anything about that yet, but just if you have an episode of the Babylon 5 that you're interested in talking about with us, please let us know either by email or Twitter or whatever means. Give us a couple weeks of notice, though. And we would love to have you on to talk about the TV show with us on the podcast. Cool. That brings us to our plug zone. If you enjoy chats and want to contact us, you can do so by sending emails to chatspod@gmail.com or tweet at us at chatspod on Twitter, where I will occasionally check those things because sometimes people like the episode postings and it makes me feel loved. Please also consider rating us on iTunes and supporting us financially at patreon.com/chatspod. We're at $2 a month. You can get monthly film commentaries. You're going to be getting multiple film commentaries in February. And watch, it's a romance month, and John and I are, if anything, romantic. And then at $5 a month, you get Chats Nights. Ladies, which is where John and I just kind of bullshit like we do before recording, except we put it on a recording, and it's great. We don't do other regular plugs here, though. So, Magellan, I want to hear your chat number this week.
Sure, my friend. I have two. First is a podcast that I recently discovered that I'm telling you about because I wish that I had done it first. It was an idea that I've had, and I didn't get there in time. It's called It's All Been Done, and it is a podcast that goes song by song through the entire Bare Naked Ladies discography. And it talks about those songs. And if you like the Bare Naked Ladies, as I do, if you like Bare Naked Ladies, there's no "the" in their name officially, then it's the podcast for you. And they've got some fun guests from time to time. The 1 week episode I just listened to, it had Justin McElroy from My Brother and Me on it. And I had a good time. But I wish it had been me, because they were my favorite band in high school. You know,
Magellan is like the Bare Naked Ladies person. That was like the first thing I ever knew about him, actually.
Yeah, I'm really sad about it.
I listen. Here's the thing about podcasting: is you can always do the thing. You can just do it different. Okay, fine. Be sad about it.
Maybe we'll do a Chats Nights sometime where we talk about BNL.
Yeah,
but that's all I need. Anyway, that's my first one. My second chatsum is recently poet Mary Oliver passed away. Maybe you've heard of her, Mary Oliver. She was a National Book Award winner, Pulitzer Prize winner. And she's just like she was a pretty well-selling American poet of the modern era. She read some of her poetry handbook in a class I was in college, and I've been rereading it, and it's really good. So if you want to learn how to write poetry, it's called A Poetry Handbook. I highly recommend it. And I just want to read one of her poems, if that's cool, because I think it's good. It's called Wild Geese, and it goes like this. You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over announcing your place in the family of things. Isn't that nice?
that's very nice. Wow,
That's nice.
Beautifully read.
Thanks.
Thank you for that, Magellan.
What about you, man? What's your chatsum?
It's been a pretty low-key January so far, so I've been going to the theater every Saturday after improv class, which you can hear about on Chats Nights, by the way. The latest movie that I saw on our little Saturday movie adventures with my pal Colin is the new Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
I saw that one too.
Yeet. Dude, that movie, I mean, it's like another one of those, like, it's a chatsum, but you've probably seen it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really great. If you don't like Marvel movies, or if you're tired of like these big live action, like gray, origin story heavy superhero movies, Into the Spider-Verse will really knock you out of that funk. It'll remind you why those movies were fun in the first place, and why we keep going to see them, and why those stories are so eternal. The production is beautiful. Like, it's just a really stunning film to look at. It has one of my favorite final fight scenes maybe ever, when they're that whole like abstract that whole thing.
They're like
it's
universes
incredible,
colliding in one space.
Yeah, it's basically, as a setup, it's just Spider-Man as Miles Morales, a kid living in the Bronx, I believe.
I think he lives in
Brooklyn. It's the B one, whichever one has the B in it. starting it is what I meant to say. Miles Morales finds out that he's Spider-Man, and then he's whoopsie, he's not the real Spider-Man. There's another one who's the like adult Peter Parker Spider-Man, except he dies. That's like the beginning of the movie. And then it's like, oh, there's a dimensional portal. There's a million Spider-Men. They all exist in different universes, and there is always a Spider-Man. And it kind of has this great theme that you don't see that much in superhero movies now, where it's like, hey, just because this guy puts on a suit and like does the thing and has the name doesn't mean that he's the only Spider-Man. You, Joe Schmo at home, can be Spider-Man also.
Yeah, this idea of like, I'm just Spider-Man because I got bit. I'm not like destined to be a hero.
Right.
That's sort of the idea of Spider-Man in general, the like with great power comes great responsibility thing of, well, you're here and you have the powers, so you got to do something with them to help people.
Because how could you not? And,
right.
And then you being at home, like,
yeah.
It's not about getting bit by the spider. It's about like taking the first step and going outside and saying, I'm going to help someone today.
Yeah, it's about like whatever it is that you are able to do, you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is cool. And, there's for those of you out there who are sort of like world-weary, sad teachers, but maybe.
Who perhaps work in New York City.
Yeah, it's really the sort of mid-30s Peter Parker from another dimension who's like he's gaining some weight. He'll really speak to you.
I want to give you a hug. Magellan, I was gonna say your last name. Magellan's like top 2 relatable characters of 2019: Peter J. Parker, the sad grumpy old man, and Londo Mollari, the most owned man in space. Like, these are his boys. These are his, like, slot me right in there, Jack. That's me. Yeah. Good television. Good in general. Yeah, that is what is it. And that is going to do it for this episode of Chatzylon 5.
Oh, yeah.
Peace.